All right, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Carlier, Director of Community Boards, chairing this meeting on behalf of the Queensborough President. Want to thank everybody, all the CB chairs and the city agencies who are with us tonight. Opening this meeting, I would like to introduce the New York City Sheriff's Office, who will be providing an overview on crime statistics and the law enforcement response to cannabis operations in Queens. Here tonight, we are joined by the sheriff himself, Anthony Miranda. He is also joined by Lieutenant Francesca Rosa. Anthony Miranda was appointed by the New York City Sheriff's Office in May 2022. Sheriff Miranda has served in various positions throughout his distinguished career in law enforcement. He joined the NYPD in 1982, serving as the detective in the Organized Crime Control Bureau and Detective Bureau. He also served as a sergeant in several areas, including the Street Narcotics Enforcement Unit, Community Policing, and Internal Affairs Bureau, as well as the Patrol Service Bureau. Our office, we're encouraged by the Sheriff's partnership on this issue of tackling the illegal and unlicensed cannabis shops, and we wholeheartedly support his office taking decisive action to shut them down. Illegal cannabis shops peddle unregulated, low quality, and potentially dangerous products that ultimately undermine our efforts to establish a legal cannabis economy rooted in fairness and social justice in New York State. So with that, we're going to continue to work with the Sheriff's Office, NYPD, and our community partners throughout the borough and the city, as well as our colleagues in government to continue working on this issue. So with that, going to pass it over to Sheriff Miranda. The floor is yours.
Thank you for the invitation to be here today and to share information with you. Again, our partnership is very important, and the information that we receive from the community every day makes this possible. So if not for the partnership of the community, much of the work that the sheriff is currently doing faces a lot of challenges, but it's based on the community complaints that we receive and the information we get from many of you that we're able to identify the locations and take the action that's been given to us by the city, by the state as well. What I wanted to introduce is the commanding officer of our enforcement unit, Lieutenant Rosa, who is going to be giving you the presentation, the basic information of our primary duties and what we do in the area of cannabis enforcement.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'm Lieutenant Rosa. I'm the commanding officer of our Sheriff Investigations Unit. I am going to give just a brief overview of the Sheriff's Office if you don't already know. We are the chief civil enforcement agency of the city, although we do have both civil and criminal enforcement authority throughout the 5 boroughs. We have a county, an office in every county, so we're not centralized to one county. We are in all 5 counties. Some of our area of enforcement is we serve all of the orders from the courts. So orders of protection, ERPOs, which are extreme risk protection orders, evictions, removals, any family court warrants, tax warrants, mental health and hygiene warrants. We also enforce general corporation tax. We do a lot of investigations on general corporation tax, tobacco tax, and tobacco inspections, which brings us to our smoke shop inspections. However, I'm going to touch upon our specialized units. We have the Sheriff Investigation Unit, which is where I'm the commanding officer. We also have the Road Patrol Unit. If you see any of the ghost plates that are throughout the city, I'm sure there are some here in Queens. Our Road Patrol Unit does a lot of that enforcement for the ghost plates and vehicles that have scofflaw issues. Electronic Monitoring Unit, which is our alternative to incarceration unit. That is a growing unit, and it is utilized by a lot of the court system. And our Sheriff Response Team, which is sort of like our ESU. It is our response to any type of situation we have in the field. They are our quick response team. So in our Sheriff Investigation Unit, we handle all of the tobacco enforcement. That's our administrative inspections for compliance with tobacco, our smoke shop enforcement, deed fraud investigations, background investigations, We also do joint investigations for narcotics and tax crimes, money laundering, tax crime investigations, and any other fraud against the Department of Finance. So for our smoke shop enforcement, Governor Hochul gave our office, the Sheriff's Office, the authority to inspect and padlock locations that are found selling illicit cannabis and related THC products without the proper license. So Mayor Eric Adams called for a holistic approach in this enforcement. So the Sheriff's Office is the lead in the task force, the Sheriff's Joint Compliance Task Force, but we also have NYPD and DCWP, which is the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. We are the three main agencies that lead the Sheriff's Joint Compliance Task Force. We have the latitude in our agency to call upon any enforcement agency necessary. So sometimes we conduct inspections and we discover that there were alterations to the building. So we would call the Department of Buildings, the fire department. We can call upon any other agency to support us in our enforcement efforts. We find also with the edibles that there are a lot of locations that are combining like food product and THC cannabis, which is when we call Department of Health to support us. We work with the district attorney's offices throughout the 5 boroughs, special narcotics, and each agency has its own violations that they issue to the business, the corporation, so that we have that holistic effect. Here are some of the stats. On the left side is our citywide stats from the beginning of the operation, Padlock to Protect, to November, so as of Saturday. We've completed over 6,000 inspections, and we've sealed over 1,600 locations citywide. Now, in Queens specifically, that's on the right-hand side, we've sealed 331 locations in the county of Queens. And we've issued over $46 million in civil penalties, and $35 million of illicit product was removed from the street of Queens. So in addition to sealing the locations, we have the authority to unseal a location based on different parameters, whether the landlord took the property back, they evicted the tenant, or the tenant made an agreement with our legal department that they were no longer going to participate in the illegal sale of cannabis. But due to our enforcement efforts, new businesses have been able to take the place of previously sealed smoke shops. So as of October, there were 130 new businesses that took the place of those previously illegal businesses. And just here in Queens, on Woodhaven Boulevard, I don't know if you're aware of this location, but it was previously a smoke shop. It is now a pizzeria on 63 118 Woodhaven Boulevard. And on Francis Lewis Boulevard, the gallery was it was a smoke shop that we got a lot of complaints about. We closed it down, and it is now a holistic center. Those are just 2 examples in Queens. And so why is this important? A lot of the products you see here are the edibles that we find in the store. They're marketed to kids. They look like cereal brands, candy brands, brands that we see all the time when we were younger in the stores. Even the cup of noodles, they get very creative with how they alter and conceal what they're selling. And again, we're just gonna have, these are more examples, the nerd ropes, the candy worms, all of these are infused with THC. And if you don't look at it carefully, you would never know that they have THC in them. This on the right-hand side is something that we see more often now. They're getting, like I said, very creative in how they're hiding the product. This on the outside looks like a Big Mac, but on the inside, it's actually cannabis flower. This looks like an Easy Pass, but it actually conceals cannabis flower. The holidays are coming. These are Lindt chocolates, but it's actually cannabis flower, Fun Dip, Monster. We see many, many different things when the teams are doing inspections. They also, again, try to package for deception. I don't know if this is a video. Yeah. Oh. So that looks like a PS2, like a video game box, but actually when you open it inside, there's THC flower in that packaging. It's also not just cannabis and THC that we find when we conduct these inspections. We find other narcotics, cocaine, ketamine, crystal meth we found recently, Xanax, Adderall, all the illicit narcotics. We also find firearms and other weapons in these locations. So the safety risk when we conduct these inspections are at a high. These are images of different mushrooms. On the left side is its vegetative state, but on the right side is when it mixes the mushrooms with chocolate and different candies. Again, they use some of the most elaborate designs and colors, and it's really to attract the youth. And again, the packaging is very deceptive. On the packaging, it doesn't say that there's psilocybin mushrooms in there. It uses different language to let you know what's in there without letting you know what's in there. They also get very creative in how they hide these products, right? So this looks like a floor, but it's actually a trap door that goes down to where they hide the products. Again, it looks like a regular wall in a smoke shop, but it actually is a concealed compartment. And so when the teams are conducting these inspections, they have to be very attentive and pay attention to what they're looking at and what they're looking for. That's why the complaints are very important to us, because some people know where these traps are, right? They see when someone else goes to purchase, they may open the trap door. So it's very important that we get this type of information when we get our complaints. Many times our inspections lead to criminal investigations, and it's because of the work that we do with our inspections and the partnership with the community and the different complaints that we get that we're able to take down some of the bigger distributors throughout the city. We'll continue to expand our partnership and work with different state and federal agencies, and really with the support of the community, we'll be able to take some of these bigger players down. So if you have any complaints or you know of a location that's a smoke shop that shouldn't be open or it doesn't have a license and you know it doesn't have a license, you can either call 311 or send an email to our email address, smokeshopcomplaints@sheriff.nyc.gov. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Questions? Yeah. Oh.
Yes, gonna relay to the CBs for any questions.
Oh, thank you. Hi. Thank you for the presentation. I'm Michael Hannibal, and I'm with Community Board 8 with Martha Taylor's team. One of the things that I do there is I'm the chair of both the Liquor License Committee and the Cannabis Committee. And one of the things that I'm always faced with is, who do you complain to? Who do you reach out to? As you know, the biggest problem we run into is that people don't know how to identify the legal from the illegal. And what you've done here is also educated me, because I didn't know quite the extent of what was going on there. So one, thank you for that. What I'd like to ask also is if you would able to send maybe the PowerPoint to us so we can share it with some of our community board members, because a lot of times the question is, are we reaching out to the police department? Are we reaching out to the Office of Cannabis Management? And the fact that you're in the community and doing this, I think would be a great help for us.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And yeah, just to address that, yeah, post-meeting, we'll be sharing the slide deck to both the CB chairs, district managers, and attendees.
So you can complain to the cannabis board. They still take the complaints. The police department will still take the complaints. 311 comes directly back to us, so you can call 311. Again, we're in contact with most of the elected officials. They also bring complaints directly to our office, and the community can call our office directly or send the email. So it's important that, again, if you get those information, please share it with us as soon as possible. We've recently did a presentation at the Teachers Union, and we got to meet with many of the administrators there, and we found out there are kind of more horrific stories that haven't gotten to us yet about kids overdosing on the gummies. What's important about the gummies is that there's no way of measuring how much THC is actually absorbed in it. So they're dipping it. You know, it could be a 5-minute dip or 10-minute dip, and they don't know how powerful it is, so it's very random. And if kids start taking that to school, most of the schools cannot distinguish what regular candy from the cannabis-infused stuff that's being used right now. So they have a number of overdoses and kids getting sick in schools, which again, they notify us, and that's one of the reasons we went and talked to them, because teachers and parents often become familiar with the locations. Please, as soon as they see it out there, and especially they know if one of the kids are getting sick, we're never investigating the children. We are investigating the illegal product that they are selling to our children or getting them sick or overdosing on, and we're able to take immediate action on. So that's part of why we're out there making sure we reach out. We'll go out and do presentations at the community boards as well. So if you have a meeting with your board and you want somebody from our office to come down, we'll come down and make the same presentation of information.
I appreciate that. It's just seeing the candy on there, and we just passed Halloween, is more frightening. That's just evil.
Yeah, sure. They're gonna package this now for the Christmas holidays and the Thanksgiving holidays, and you'll see a lot of creative things. So it's the parents that need to be educated about what to look for when the kids are carrying it, because again, you look at half of these packages, you couldn't tell whether it's the regular candy they're buying in the store or they're carrying cannabis-infused candies. So it's really about an education to the parents and raising their awareness. All right, because even the kids are passing these things back and forth in the schools themselves, and they could be impacting kids that are on other kinds of medication. I think that's where you get the sicknesses and the things that are going on in our public school system right now.
Hi, I'm Joe Sweeney, Community Board 7, Chair of Public Safety. I have a question in reference to those candies. When you go in and you see those candies there, I know you do confiscate them, but what's the penalties to these people that are selling them? I mean, I hope it's not a $1,000 fine or something, because this is criminal. It's a health factor. What is the present law right now about this?
The present law provides civil enforcement, so it's not criminal in nature until we get a case where either somebody's gotten sick about it or we find enough weight to constitute a felony. And then we also do tax investigations to trace the money that are funding some of these locations, and that may lead to other kind of investigations and arrests. But predominantly it's civil enforcement, so they have hearings at the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings, and the oath judge will determine the amount of the penalty up to $25,000. 50? Up to $15,000 in a penalty per violation. So, but again, it's not tried in the criminal hearing. It's tried in the Office of Administrative Trials and Oaths. You have oath administrative judges that hear these cases, and they determine the penalties that are imposed.
It's just shocking that these are the children of the future, and these people are just selling this, and it's harming the future of America. In reference to the penalties, I see that you that there was penalties given out a certain amount. What has been, is 100% collection there? I think you indicated it was $45 million in penalties.
Yeah, it's not 100%. Well, you're taking penalties against the corporations. So if the corporation folds, then you have to follow civil law, and you generally can't collect on the corporations that are closed. What we find is that you have multiple locations closing down and then opening up in a new corporation. It costs you a couple $100 to open a new corporate name, and then you're back in business under a different LLC operating. So we have to go through the entire process all over again.
It sounds incredible that they can do this.
It is again, the focus, I think, when they passed the law was not to criminalize people who were using it at a local level in lesser amounts. But what they didn't compensate for, or they overcompensated, was they didn't realize that it opened the door as far as it did for the criminal element. Up to 3 ounces you can carry legally and personal use. But when they did that, they also changed the law, and they changed it from aggregate weight to pure weight. Once they changed the law to pure weight, it made it very difficult for any of the district attorney's offices to prosecute these cases on the criminal level. And so until that's corrected legislatively to go back to aggregate weight, you're going to see a lot of challenges in the process of enforcement.
And who do you suggest that boards or people can contact the local, is it state or the city council people?
These are state legislation. This is a state assembly, means state senators that passed the law. They're the ones who are going to have to review it in the context of the new challenges. They changed the law, and then again, the law is not catching up fast enough to the ingenuity that the criminals are having right now. They're creating home delivery process and all kind of different nuances that were not anticipated when they passed the laws. So now they're going to have to come back and review the process to catch up to the new things that are being done so that the law is responsive.
Thank you very much.
All right, I recognize Betty, followed by Walter.
Not me.
Here, you can use either.
Hi, I'm Walter Sanchez. I'm the chairman of Community Board
Well,
5.
Walter, we can go to Betty first. then.
You can use
I
that
was
one.
waving, that out.
You can use that
Oh,
microphone.
okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry about
No.
Go ahead, Walter.
She didn't want to. I'm good? Walter Sanchez, I'm chair of Community Board 5, which is Maspeth, Middle Village, Glendale, Ridgewood. The packaging that you're talking about, that's not meant to fool the kids, right? That's meant to fool law enforcement or adults.
I think it's meant to attract the younger population to be able to use it, and it also is very deceiving to the law and to the school system, right? Because the
Right.
teachers are not aware of it, and you come in, it's the same packaging as other candies that you will buy in the store. So it's meant to beat the law, and it's also to attract the younger population
Right.
into using the product.
And the users of the product would understand what it is. Not us, not people like older people who might turn them in.
All these products, you should be clear, the way it's packaged and the advertising that they do is against the law and the state law, right? The
Right.
state cannabis rules and regulations prohibit any of this.
So when people on my community board want to complain about, and it happens often, about a place, how fast can we get a response? We're not really comfortable, most of us, with calling 311. It's kind of a complicated thing, and they're very, very busy over there, and they don't feel they get the results. Smoke shop complaints at sheriff.nyc. How fast can we get do we get a response right away saying we'll look into it? How does that work?
So from the smoke shop complaints email, you won't get a response,
Okay.
but that's monitored daily, so we usually inspect within 2 weeks if you send it.
So we'll get a response within 2 weeks
You will not get a response.
at all?
No.
You'll see the inspection teams
Okay.
hitting the locations.
How often you're out every day doing this?
We're out every day, and depending on the hours of the complaints, it's very specific information is what we receive from the community. So if the community tells us it's open generally in the evening, then we'll go out in the evening hours and we'll target those locations that are operating in after hours. If they say the first thing in the morning, then we'll go out and we'll do morning inspections. So depending on the type of allocation and the amount of information that comes in, then we'll go out and we'll target it during the information we get. And sometimes we get just not enough information, which will require us to go out and do our own observations.
Right.
So then we need to do our own investigation, and then we'll conduct the appropriate
Okay.
response.
Fine, thank you.
I think this lady, sir.
Hi, good evening. First of all, Heather Dimitriadis, Chair, Community Board 6, Regal Park, Forest Hills. I want to thank you guys so much for your work, and we've seen it make a big change in our community. We have seen what you've just pointed out tonight. We saw a business that was shut down near Long Island Railroad in Forest Hills, and then next door, the station house was able to sort of expand and utilize the space. The landlord gave them the space, which was great. So thank you so very much for your hard work. We're seeing it, and I think it's really paying off in our community. So I first want to say thank you for that. I wanted to ask, because you'd mentioned about Adderall. How often do you find Adderall at these sites? And is it Adderall that's being sold just as Adderall, or is it being sold differently? That was sort of surprising to me.
So it's more, I feel like it's more common now. We weren't really seeing other narcotics.
Lieutenant, a little closer to the mic, please.
We weren't seeing other narcotics like
It's not
that.
on.
It's green.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
We weren't seeing narcotics like that months ago, but recently. And it's not like prescription, like in a prescription bottle. It's like mass produced.
Yeah, it's a shame because as somebody who picks up an Adderall prescription for a family member, I will tell you there are times where families are desperate because places sell out because there are caps, production caps with legitimate pharmaceutical companies. And I know that there are times of year specifically that it gets really challenging. And so it would be nice to see the government sort of step in and deal with those production caps so that it would sort of put a stop to this free-flowing market that's happening, that you're starting to discover more and more. So thank you for bringing that information. And I would like to share, listening to my colleagues' concerns about his folks reaching out and so on. I think when community boards reach out to other agencies, we need to get a report back. I understand that to the general public, that it's impossible to follow up with everybody, but I think agency to agency, it's tremendously helpful.
So I have community boards that reach out to me directly, and if you reach out to me, I will respond back.
So,
to you.
so it's better for community. So the information that you provided as far as this is good for our general boards. But if there's something very specific, we can get your contact information from Michael Carlier, and then we can from the Borough President's office, and then we can work directly with you.
Yes.
That would be great, because I think that's sort of what we're looking for when we have folks in our community who have been raising concerns and something isn't happening. And maybe sometimes it is because there is no there. I'm sure there are times where you run into a situation where you've gotten complaints and you're there and you're like,
Yes.
there's nothing. And I think sometimes it's because with cannabis, there are legitimate cases, and then there are people who are just seeing boogeyman everywhere. And so that would be helpful to learn, so that like as we're getting people calling, we can say, I've heard this, because people also start rumors on social media. And so part of what we like to do as a community board is be that, that voice that if somebody reaches out to us and say, hey, I saw this thing, and we're like, we can then say, understood. We heard from the Sheriff's Department, X, Y, and Z. Just understand it's being handled, or just understand that there was an inspection and nothing was discovered.
Right.
So I think that would be helpful. So, Michael, at the end of this, when you distribute the presentation, if you could include that contact information to the chairs and district managers for our eyes only, that would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. As
Perfect.
per our routine, share the contacts for the
Thank you.
presenters.
That would be freaking amazing. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
Yes, and next question going to Keith Felsenfeld from Councilmember Linda Lee's office.
Thank you. I think my question was answered. Okay. I think my question was answered. So we don't get responses from this email address, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I guess how would we know that there was some sort of inspection, because we continuously get complaints for one particular shop. So I just wanted to know, like, do we just keep emailing this email address, or?
Every time you get a complaint, you should make a new complaint, because
Okay.
we could have done an inspection. They could have claimed they took some corrective action with the oath judge, and then they reopen again afterwards. So the answer is, if you get more complaints from the community, report it as often as you get it. We do communicate directly with the elected officials when they give us addresses, and we go out and do inspections. Then we go back and we write a summary of what took place in those locations. So we've done that. So if there's a challenge, just make sure you reach out to our office. And we send out the information as well. We'll give the community boards a direct number that they can use to follow up. After we finish conducting, at the end of our investigations, we'll write a summary of what was found and what actually was taken at a location.
Okay, so just get the contact from Michael, I guess, and then, okay, thank you.
Right. If you call 311, you will get a response back, right? So if it's registered by 311, I got that there might be challenging for some people. For 311, there's a response that goes back directly to the person who makes the report on 311. So that's the way the community gets their response back. However, at this level where you're at and you want to get a different level of communication, you can contact our office directly, pass on the complaints that you get. I specify that please get as much detail as possible, like exact addresses, not the corner of. On any particular corner, there are 4 different locations that could possibility. It could be the one directly on the corner, right off the corner. So specific addresses and whatever name they see posted on the front, like as much detail as possible. A picture, you can upload pictures as well. It'll save us a lot of investigative time to be able to do that. If we get in much detail, then we start our investigation even before we go do an inspection. We'll do some research on the location, get some information before we go there. So there are a number of different ways that we can tackle different locations that present different challenges.
Okay, and I guess part two of my question is, I'm sorry if I missed this, I was late. The shops that were closed down previously that reopened after their year-long probation, were they rechecked at all, or do they need to be, or there needs to be new complaints in order to be checked?
The new complaints. Once they're open after the year is done, they've been sealed for a year, they're turned back over to the landlord. Then the landlord, will rent it to a new business or the same business. At that point, if there's additional complaints that come in, then we'll go back and we'll do it. Otherwise, it's, we won't be going back if there hasn't been a complaint.
Thank you.
All right, next up, recognizing Lynette from the Council Speaker's Office.
Good evening. Thank you again for that presentation.
Just press the button. The button right there? Yeah, press it. Yeah.
Thank you. Very informative presentation. Just two questions. One is, you mentioned you have an office in each county. Are those offices public engagement space, or is it agency function only?
No, those are public spaces where people walk into the office. They'll take the complaints, but we have our sheriff's investigative unit that actually works on any cannabis related. But the offices are all public spaces. People come in, have complaints, they'll take it right there at the offices. It's really focused toward the orders of protections and the court orders that come in. People don't realize that they don't have to pay somebody. They can come to a sheriff's office and serve the documents, and then we take the appropriate action.
So if you could share that information, I guess, to the community boards ourselves, just to share the location, so in the event we need that information,
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
it. And then also, I know earlier when the law was in effect and the whole idea of launching the legal cannabis dispensaries and all of these things, there was a lot of talk about proximity, but I'm seeing legal or illegal. The proximity to schools and it's one area in the Rockaways completely adjacent to a daycare, right next, 3 blocks from a church, across the street from the Y. What's the issue in regards to enforcement as it relates to proximity to living, community spaces such as a daycare center? And the particular facility looks like a college campus, and it's cannabis spread across with a child care center directly across the street. That's very disturbing.
For cannabis enforcement, legal shops, so everybody understands, should have a sign on the front. There's an emblem that they use. It's green.
It's a green sticker with like a QR code that signifies that it's a legal cannabis dispensary.
So you should always see that outside a legal location. And if there's ever a question about whether something's legal or illegal, you can take the address and you can input it into the state website, and they will tell you whether it's a legal or not legal location. For proximity purposes, if it's a legal operator, a legally licensed location, we do not inspect legally licensed locations. We do not inspect the locations that are not currently licensed as hemp locations either. So it has to be clearly involved in illegal cannabis business and not licensed by the state. The state only authorized the sheriff's office to inspect unlicensed locations.
Thanks for that clarity.
Can I, just to piggyback on what you're saying, thank you. If you go to the Office of Cannabis Management website, what we're finding is that proximity that you're talking about, it almost aligns to the state liquor license in terms of how far they're away from a house of worship, how far they're away from a school. In some cases, if you have the time, I will look at that, because I think it's like a 200, 500 feet rule that's applicable, and right, about 500. So in some cases, if it's a daycare center, again, first, if the cannabis store is legal, authorized with the QRC code, they have to show that. It's a green placard that's on the front. If they don't have that, that's one thing. If they're not legal, then well within the rights to have that removed. Okay? So just something to look out to.
Thank you for
Okay.
sharing.
No.
Any further questions from the community boards? Okay, yeah, our office actually had a couple. So just regarding the borough-wide data for the enforcement actions, do you guys have a district-by-district breakdown in terms of either by community board or city council?
Not not available at the moment. We could work on that if that's something that you would like. but-
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a conversation that we can follow up on. And yeah, you did mention earlier just the weight that constitutes a felony. Can you just repeat that number? I don't know if I missed it.
I'm sorry, say it again?
How much weight in possession constitutes a felony?
Again, illegal sale, marijuana, 10 pounds, right? Sale of marijuana is illegal, okay? Just so we're clear about it. The sale of marijuana in an illegal, unlicensed location is illegal. The law provides that you have to be over 21 years of age, right? So following the cannabis regulations, rules and regulations, they're very strict, and the packaging and the lighting and they're very strict regulations provided by the state. So anybody not in compliance, the first thing we look to see is whether they're licensed or not licensed, right? Once we determine that they're not licensed and we get community complaints on it, then we'll begin the appropriate types of investigation. And the investigations will vary from underage buys or from doing observations or going in and just doing a general inspection, depending on what we observe at the location. As much information we get from the community is more helpful, and much detail is more helpful. 3 ounces is the legal amount that any individual can possess, right? So again, I think there's nuances in the law that are going to have to be addressed in the new administration at the state level about how to address the shortcomings that have come about based on the ingenuity of the criminal element or how they undertake to undermine the law and the intent of the law. So I think that's a conversation that everybody's going to be engaged in the very near future.
All right, thank you. Yeah, last call for any questions from the community boards. All right, seeing none. Okay, so want to thank the Sheriff's Office for their presentation here tonight. That is the full agenda for the day. So again, thank you to the Sheriff's Office as well as the Borough Hall staff for being here today. So looking forward to working with everybody, and also FYI, our next Borough Board meeting will be Monday, December 1st at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.